weeks. I swear. Why would she set you up?
I ain't buying it.
It's like every time the PC version of The Last of Us has to start a new cutscene or like any pivotal point in the story, the thing just completely falls over, and it's terrible. It's a really terrible port. And like me and Sharif had a conversation about it a few days ago. I'm going to break convention here, right, and not make you have to listen to the entire conversation to get the gist of what we were talking about. The gist of that conversation is essentially, look, it's all right, but it's got a few problems, and it really does need a few patches because it's not really in a fit state. And I just want to be absolutely clear, I've done a lot more testing on it since recording that video, and for the avoidance of doubt, you should not buy The Last of Us on PC in the current state. Now, there is a hot fix on the way today, there's a bigger patch on the way in a couple of days at the time of recording. I'm going to have a look at that next week and see if it improves matters. But basically, do not give this product your money because it is essentially broken. And me and Sharif have like pretty good PCs, right? This is a Ryzen 9 3080 Ti. It's a 12 gigabyte card, and it's riding the video memory right to the limit, and I'm pretty sure that's why it keeps crashing, because like at pivotal points in the story, a rush of assets comes in, pushes it over the limit, it falls over, and it takes the entire system with it, by the way. It's ridiculous. It's got 64 meg of system memory, and as I say, this is a really good PC that I built fairly recently for gaming and video editing. It's not a slouch, right? So this is not like user doesn't have the right equipment error. This is like you made a shit product that can't manage its own resources properly. So nobody should buy it. And if you've got like a graphics card that's worse than a 3080 Ti, if you have less than 12 gig of VRAM, forget it. It's gonna be a shit show. It's not there. At the moment, it's a pretty miserable experience. When it's not crashing, it runs fine and it looks really nice. But Sharif was getting a lot of like really bad micro stuttering and stuff as well. So everyone's mileage is going to vary. It just depends on your system. Christ only knows how it's been released in this state, despite, taking an extra year or whatever. I'm just really, really tired of this stuff constantly happening, of these terrible ports, these games that come out that look promising but end up being a technical shit show, and it's bad for the consumer. It makes my job a misery, and just fucking make sure things are working before you push it out the door, for Christ's sake. Anyway, here's Sharif.
We're gonna get out of this, I promise.
Alright, so The Last of Us Part 1 has finally come to PC. I say finally, was anyone really waiting for it? It just sort of happened, didn't it? I don't know, and not the original version, we must stress, the remake.
Yes.
So it's a remake of a game that came out in 2013. Okay.
Which has already been remastered.
Which has already been remastered. And the remaster was fine, by the way. Let's just...
Yeah.
But okay, fine. And now it's on PC, and it supports a much better suite of graphical features, as you would expect, and it supports ultra-wide resolution and all that sort of stuff. And it's been... I don't want to say rushed out because that's accusatory, but I feel like it has been hastened out the door to coincide with the TV show, the first season of the TV show coming to an end. Yeah. It feels like the timing is quite deliberate. But the problem is that a lot of people are having real issues with this port on PC. It's plagued with micro stuttering, shader compilation issues. Like it took us both the shader compilation thing runs for 45-50 minutes.
Yeah,
which is insane.
It's ridiculously long, and it's even longer than the Uncharted collection, which is 2 full games. I have no idea why. I guess because Last of Us has more bespoke assets, but dear God, I have never seen a shader compilation that takes this long. Not even Call of Duty's legendarily long shader compilation takes this long. It's amazing.
You were saying you had a real micro stuttering issue as well.
Yeah, so the point of shader compilation, which by the way, it's good that they compile it and they tell you that they're compiling it. But the point of shader compilation is that when you're getting into a new area, when an asset is first shown in a scene or featured in a scene, the PC already knows about it, so it doesn't stutter, right? This game stutters in a couple of very annoying and crucial ways. One, it's asset streaming when you're loading into new areas. But the problem is you don't know when that's going to happen necessarily, because what the game thinks of as a new chunk of the level that it needs to load, it might not always reflect on you, the player. And it happened repeatedly, especially in these complex apartment buildings where you're going around trying to scavenge and stuff. You would turn the camera to the left or you would turn a corner, and to the world of the game, that's a different part of the level. And so the frame rate would dip as if it was loading in new assets, and it would jump back up. And that nearly ruined my stealth a couple times, especially with the stuttery clickers that you just looking around and you don't know how to predict their movement. And I think I'm not like tech savvy enough to tell you if this is like a problem with like shader compilation or just normal asset streaming. For what it's worth, I have an i7 9700K, and the game is on a Gen 3 NVMe. I don't think I'm saturating the Gen 3 NVMe. I mean, granted, this game was made with a PS5 in mind, which is significantly faster, so that could be part of it. But I feel like there's enough RAM and enough video memory for that not to be a problem on PC. I'm willing to put up with this like streaming stutter. A lot of games have it. Sure, I'll figure it out. The game is not super fast-paced that it's going to ruin your experience, really. The major problem that I have, Jim, is this micro stutter that happens whenever you turn the camera. Doesn't matter if it's slow pan or you whip it around. It feels like it's tearing, but it's not tearing because I have it on a G-Sync monitor and I looked at the frame rate, limited it, everything. It is not tearing. The most recent example that I have seen of this exact problem was the PC version of Forspoken, which also had this inexplicable stutter on camera turn that I just couldn't. I was like, what is happening? Like it's hard to explain. I have no idea if it's even easy to show it across on videos, but if you play PC games a lot and you whip the camera with a mouse, you'll do it once and you're like, this is not smooth. I checked, I had raw mouse input on, everything is fine. Like it's not something to do with like the frame rate is not dipping. Like you can be doing it in a dark corner with nothing rendered. You could do it looking at the scene, like it doesn't matter. Yeah. It's just when the camera is tilting, there's almost like a delay, like the game is doesn't quite know where you are, and it just catches up. That was my main problem with it, and it made any situation where I have to look around the camera when I'm doing listening mode and try and look out for clickers and stuff, just infuriating.
I noticed that as I was playing on controller, but there's something about the camera movement that felt off to me. It felt really granular.
Yes.
And I've got a G-Sync monitor as well, and I click the thing on the monitor to tell it tells you what the refresh rate is, right? Yeah. And it was 60. It was just solid 60. Like so it wasn't, the frame rate wasn't dipping or anything like that. Yeah. Same thing. It's just this, it almost imperceptible micro stutter, but you feel it more than you see it, right? But it's something, something not quite right about the frame timing or something. Something there. I tried it with motion blur on, motion blur off. I'm one of these people who doesn't mind motion blur so much. So it's definitely got a few technical problems, and it feels like something that needs like one more patch to kind of iron these things out, because it's like, it's not terrible or unplayable, I didn't find.
No.
But then we are running it on, we've both got a 3080 Ti.
Yeah.
Right. And I've noticed, I was just checking sort of Reddit threads and stuff, and it seems like I had one crash. You didn't have any crashes.
No.
A lot of people have been complaining about the game crashing a lot, and it seems to be that it's a VRAM issue, right?
Yes.
And this game is really hungry. Like it'll tell you how much
VRAM voracious.
Yeah. Like it will tell you in the settings quite helpfully how much VRAM it expects to use based on what settings you've got. You've got. And like I've got a 12 gigabyte card. I think all 3080s are, aren't they?
3080 Ti's, yes.
Yeah. So 12 gig card, and it's almost maxing it out. It's got like 600 meg of headroom, right? And you think
I'm
that's
going
not
over.
great. Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm if you look at like my footage for the VRAM, I'm going over the line.
Yeah.
They helpfully calculate how much RAM is being used for like Windows and applications that you have going on, and how much the game is actually allocating. So technically, the game only has access to about 8.5 gigs.
Yeah.
But I still think it's ridiculous for like running it. I'm running it at like I'm rendering at like DLSS balanced, which is sub 1440p, and displaying at 4K.
Yeah.
That's not a high enough resolution to max out 8 gigabytes. I don't care how high your texture resolution is. It's just like, really? And I almost did it on purpose to see if it's going to crash, because I know like Resident Evil 4, for example, if you push it past the VRAM, it just hard crashes. No, don't do this. Don't do it.
Yeah.
This game, I thought I was just doing it just to see what happens. I didn't do anything, and I was like, okay, let's stay below the maximum and see what happens. And it didn't do anything. So I was like, is this just like a guideline?
Yeah. So that's weird then. So a lot of people are having really different experiences with that. But if the game is for this game, if it's saying that like 12 gigabytes is kind of the bare minimum, then who is this for? Because if you've got more than 12 gigs of VRAM, like you're running a workstation, right? Like you've got a Quattro card or something, or whatever they're called now. So like that's insane.
A 4070 Ti, which is a modern graphics card, has 12. A 4080 has 16. So if you're buying a 4070 Ti today, you're already kind of at a disadvantage, which sounds nuts to me. Because the 4070 Ti is a significantly faster GPU, than what's in a PlayStation 5. It is more expensive than several PlayStation 5s. Right? So, so do you need at the bare minimum 16 now to meet what? For like rendering at like sub 1440p? Like what's going on? Anyway.
That is insane.
It is fine. Like there's a wealth of options, and they do the helpful thing of showing you a preview on the right hand side of what you're sacrificing by lowering or upping the options. You can get by like a mix of medium and high. A bunch of options have resolution and range selections. So if you want to be like, okay, I want sharp shadows, but I don't want it to render all the way out in the scene, that's going to save you. They also highlight what PC component is going to be hit the most by the specific setting that you're using. So if you'll be like, okay, I have a faster CPU than I have a GPU, or I have a faster GPU than I have a CPU, I can get by with this, but I won't be able to push it further by that other setting. Unfortunately, there's no benchmark, which I found surprising, because there's like a decent amount of options there that it would be good to have.
Returnal had a really good benchmark system.
Returnal had a superb benchmark mode. It is like on like top 10 all-time PC versions. Returnal's PC version, apart from some issues, was so good that you would absolutely never think that this was a port of a PS5 game. And I think it's, for my money, still the gold standard. What I'm really concerned about is like the uneven quality of these ports. Like some stuff, the Naughty Dog stuff especially, almost sits on like towards the bottom. And then Returnal comes along and it's like, oh, this is amazing. And then I've not played the Little Big Planet spinoff, so I don't know how that was. Days Gone, say what you will about the game itself, really good port. And then they started out with Horizon, which was a really terrible port. So I don't know, like this line going up and down, I don't know what to expect. And part of that is there are different engines from different studios that are being ported by also different teams. So the team that did Returnal, I don't think they have worked on any other stuff. Iron Galaxy helped off on a little bit. They have their own in-house porting team with Nixies. So I have no idea what's going on.
PlayStation ports, total crapshoot. Seems to be a very significant part of PlayStation's business going forward, though. So you would think that they would want to get this sorted out. But it's interesting. I do think, in terms of if you have a PS5, in terms of like the level of messing around and faff, I was saying this about The Witcher 3 the other day. I honestly think just playing it on the console, if that's what's available to you, is just the easiest way to go, because even though you can crank the settings up to ultra and everything, I don't think it looks significantly better to the point where anyone's going to look at the PC version running on ultra and the PS5 version and think, wow, there's a real striking difference. It's like fine details. You're like, you have to like get the magnifying glass out. And to be honest, most of those kind of finer details are going to be a little bit muddied by DLSS and etc. Anyway, so like, I think this is probably not the use case for anyone, but if you already had this on PS5 or you have a PS5, just stick with the PS5 version. For people who play primarily on PC and wanted a piece of the action, The Last of Us action, which is basically, I mean, you're not missing much. It's just Uncharted but depressed. Then
geriatric Uncharted. Just like you're moving very, very slowly and sneaking around very, very slowly.
Yeah, it's just it's fine.
I mean, Joel's an old man, so
yeah. No, it's a good game. Obviously, it deserves its reputation for being a good game. But like,
the thing I will say on PC, like once the stuttering issue is sorted, I think this is going to be a good PC version.
Yep.
It has FSR 2.0. It has DLSS 2.0, not the frame generation, just a normal image reconstruction.
Yep.
So you can, if you're a digital foundry, or if you're someone who's really good about that stuff, you can match console settings and get the same frame rate and call it a day. Get it at 60, or match the console settings and play it at a much higher frame rate. I have found, because of how slow the movement is and the action is, the frame rate just doesn't really matter as much as you think it does, which is really disappointing, but it is
I don't think like you're not getting anything out of this if you're playing it at like 120 frames a second or anything. Like you're just wasting headroom there.
But like more a comment on the game than a comment on the port. It's not even.
Whereas Returnal does benefit from the extra frames.
Exactly.
Like, there's the difference.
You want to be as fast as possible to move and I can tell you, I have done significantly better with a higher frame rate on a mouse on Returnal than I have done on a PS5. So I'm telling you. And also the benefit of that is that you can plug in the PS5 controller into the PC and with playing The Last of Us and get all the advantages of the haptics and reactive triggers and stuff. Lock it to 60 maybe, and then try to match console settings. Plug in a DualSense or play it with a mouse if you prefer, and then you'll just have a significantly, if not significantly better, equal to the PS5 without faffing about too much.
And it looks pretty good in ultra-wide as well. I've been running it in 1440p ultra-wide with DLSS on. And because, I mean, I hate to sound like a wanker, but, it is one of those cinematic games, right? Although they do have the blanks on in cutscenes, which is fair enough.
You can turn them off and on, but they strongly recommend you leave them on.
They strongly recommend not turning the blinkers off.
You're gonna see some weird stuff, man, if you turn those off.
So I left them on, but you get this really nice kind of like it's like in the cinema when the screen widens. And the film's about to start. It's like you get that between the cutscenes and gameplay, and it looks really good. So there are a lot of nice features on PC that, if you've got the hardware for it, you will benefit from. It's The Last of Us again, like take it or leave it.
Yeah, for sure. It could have been better. They should have pushed this a couple more months. I don't know why because they pushed it already. This was supposed to come out last year. So if you pushed it this far and the show's already over, like, may as well just give it a couple more patches rather than just have everyone be disappointed on day one. So
and I think The Last of Us has proved that for some reason that I actually can't fathom, because like it's good, but it's not that good. But like for some reason, it's just a massive disco. Every time anything happens with The Last of Us, whether it's remaster, sequel, television adaptation, whatever, it just goes mad, and it's all anyone can talk about. It's the closest thing we still have to like a big water cooler game. They definitely could have left this another month or so. People would have just been quite happy to go on and on about it on Twitter again. So, but I still haven't seen the TV show, by the way. I just can't.
I don't care. I don't care. I'd be like, I played The Last of Us. I finished, was like, oh, this is amazing. This is good. Closed the book on it. Played 2, hated it. no interest whatsoever in like retreading that stuff in any other medium.
Yeah.
Or honestly, or playing a Last of Us 3 or a Last of Us spin-off. I'm done. I don't care. There's nothing there for me anymore. So
at this point, it honestly it's starting to feel like real diminishing returns, like Walking Dead. You know, it's like Walking Dead was like genuinely great initially for the first like volume of the comic or like the first season of the show, first couple of seasons, and then it's just retread after retread after retread. In the case of Last of Us, literally retread after retread after retread. We've now been told like the same fucking story 3 times. So yeah, I mean, you probably already played it, and if you haven't, do it on PS5 if that's an option to you.
Yeah, I'm curious for a game like that which has been available on 3 platforms now. Granted, all of them are PlayStation, but this is the 3rd generation effectively for the same game. Mm-hmm. I'm wondering like how many people who have not actually played this at all, and not like, oh, I played the old version, I played this and that. Like, no. How many people have not played this at all? And how many of those people are still on PC holding out for the port since the PS3 days and be like, one day, It's all
like those millions of people, Sharif, who have like really high-end gaming PCs, but saw this zombie show this year and thought, hey, I'm going to check this out.
All right. Okay.
I've never heard of this.
We'll have a look at the Steam stats in a week. See what we get.
That massive demographic is finally going to get their chance. I've been Jim Trinker for VG247, and you should definitely like and subscribe, because if you don't, you smell. Check out the website, check out the podcast, check it all out. Check it out like it's Supermarket Sweet, man. I'll speak to you later.